Sorry. A little too much to prepare.
Okay, let's hear from the winner of our second duel here today at Daytona. And that driver is Kyle Busch. He drives the number 18 M&M's Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. He's joined by his crew chief, Dave Rogers, and team owner, Coach Joe Gibbs. This is Kyle's second Budweiser Duel victory. He also won in 2009. The average speed of the race today that Kyle won, 193.966 miles per hour, the second fastest dual race in history. Kyle, congratulations. Good to see you back in victory lane. And maybe talk about how this propels you now into Sunday's race, the 55th running of the Daytona 500.
Well, this is certainly a huge confidence boost just for our team and, being able to set the momentum in the right direction here at the start of the season. So I appreciate Dave Rogers and all the guys on this whole Joe Gibbs Racing team, everybody that's been back in the shop that's been working so hard this winter on building these cars and getting these things going and bringing us some fast Toyota Camrys down here to Daytona. It's cool to be able to have myself and, Denny Hamlin and Matt Kenseth with some fast Camrys. So today was just, one of those days where you had to really be patient and kind of let things play out a little bit and see how things were going to go. But, patience wore thin there probably, about lap 40 or so. Tried to make a move to the bottom side. Everybody was kind of checking up on the top lane and, rolling out of the gas a little bit to make sure they get in the corner securely. And I thought, maybe I can make a move to the bottom, and if I can side draft somebody and kind of pull them back a little bit to get a gap for them so I can slide back in line. But just didn't happen. So it's unfortunate that we all ran kind of single file there around the top, but that's where the momentum set in, and that's kind of where, everything kind of lied out. So it was just on from there to see what would happen coming to pit road and then throughout the rest of the race.
And Dave Rogers, maybe talk about some of the adjustments you guys have made to this number 18 M&M's Toyota Camry since you unloaded here last week.
Yeah, the guys back at the shop done a great job building this 2000 Toyota Camry. It's been really fast since we unloaded. It's our best qualifying effort here in some time, and we really haven't had to work on it. We actually sat out of practice yesterday, and I've had a fairly easy time down here at Speed Week. So the car has good speed. We'll see if that carries over to Sunday and see what we can do with it.
And Coach Joe Gibbs certainly has to be a good feeling to have Kyle back in victory circle, and certainly the other cars in your stable have been strong here at Daytona. Talk about the performance of the 18 and then the rest of your cars so far.
Yeah, I think Dave laid out a good game plan for this race. He did a real good job. Of course, Kyle was great. I think the teammate, Matt, we really tried to help. And I think he just kind of got caught up in a few things there and couldn't get in the right spot at the end. I think Dave also said it's the first time our cars have all qualified in a long time up there. And it's been a long time, and we all qualified in top 10. I thought that was great. And so I just thought it was a great day for us. Appreciate Toyota. Obviously, been calling a bunch of the guys at Mars. They're all excited. And so it's a big deal for us and a big day.
Thank you, Coach. We'll take questions now. We're going to start up in the press box, and then we're going to come down to Tom Jensen. Questions for Coach Joe Gibbs, Kyle Busch, or Dave Rogers?
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire Service. Kyle, you may have made a little bit of history today yourself. May be the last guy to win one of these things in the daylight now that they've decided to run these races at night. What's your reaction to that, and how might that affect the input that you might get for future Daytona 500s from night race versus day race?
Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know. I'm a fan of the day race, actually, just being able to come down here on Thursday and be able to put in a good day's work and then relax kind of the rest of the night. But now we just get to dwell on the day a little bit more and have to wait till the sun goes down to be able to race at night. But, it could be for bigger things, better things. Who knows? Obviously, with today being Thursday, a lot of people are at work. Not a lot of people get the opportunity to tune in But if they're moving it to an evening race, kind of a twilight race, it'll be cool for TV if it goes on Fox, and it's on in the evening hours. Maybe that means bigger, better things for more ratings for all of us, which is just make our sport bigger and better.
Other questions in the press box?
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Your spotter Tony said that he didn't think the Chevrolets had anything for the Toyotas, the way you guys were all lined up. But Kane pulled the inside, and he looked pretty sporty. You had a short experience on Saturday night. From what you got to see from Harvick then and Harvick in the first duel, do you have something for him on Sunday?
I think it's just a matter of whoever gets out front, to be honest with you. I mean, I hate to say that, but these cars so far have shown that it's a little bit harder to pass the leader, especially if you're the guy that's on the top side. And, today we showed it again in the second duel race. Jeff Gordon chose the top, even though he was supposed to be on the pole. He chose the outside lane, and him and we got going a little bit better than the inside lane. Casey kind of moved up then, and somehow, I don't remember what happened, but I went low because I thought he would run low, but he stayed high to get up behind Jeff, and I got shuffled out a little bit. But, it just seemed like it's all circumstantial. I think if you can keep, the good restrictor plate guys like the Kevin Harvick, the Tony Stewart, the Jeff Gordon, if you can keep those guys out of the lead, then, it might be anybody's race. But anytime you get a good, smart racer up there like that, it's going to be hard to beat them.
We'll stay in the press box for one more, and then we'll come downstairs. Go ahead.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Kyle, Kevin Harvick was saying that the racing is almost identical to the way it was in 2003, about 10 years ago. I know that predates you a little bit, but do you have any sense of that? Do you think that veterans such as him, that he's won 2 here already at this Speed Weeks and seems to be very acclimated to it, do you sense that some of the veterans maybe have an advantage because, unlike yourself, they know what it was like back then?
A little bit, but maybe not so much. You get a lot of experience and you get to be able to pick up on things quite quickly. I thought that this car was not that big of a handful and not that hard to drive, and we see people out here having a hard time with it, spinning out and crashing in practice left and right. So, you sometimes scratch your head and wonder what they're doing as to why they're having issues. But things have gone well for us. Like I said, Dave's brought a great 2013 Toyota Camry down here for me to drive, and everything's been going good for us. So I think that we do see a little bit of the pre-COT era coming with this car so far, and we'll just have to go to work and continue on making our stuff a little bit better and making it faster, and all that stuff comes from the shop. Though there's not going to be much that we get to do down here.
All right, we'll come downstairs. We'll go to Tom Jensen, then over to Ed Hinton, and then we'll continue. Go ahead, Tom.
Hi, Kyle. Tom Jensen, Speed.com.
Yeah, sorry.
No problem. Just to follow up on something Lee asked you earlier, can you get a sense with only half the field in each race on who your strongest competition is going to be, or is it all truly just track position?
With more cars out there, we might see it be a little bit different come Sunday, but there were half the field in each race, obviously, so. I think there's going to be a lot more good cars. There's going to be, I should say it this way, there's going to be twice as many good cars, there's going to be twice as many middle-of-the-pack cars, and there's going to be twice as many back-of-the-pack cars. So if you can get your car driving good, handling good, feeling good, then, you'll be able to be one of the guys that's up front. And I feel like that's where we're at. So that's an added bonus for us right now. Some other guys I seen out there today, they were a little squirrely, moving around a little bit more than I'd like to see, and I'm sure they'd like to feel. So, we'll see how all that plays out. But I think come race time, if we're able to get more racing going on, more side-by-side action, more 2-lane, 3-lane stuff going, you'll see handling play even more of a role, and you might even see a little bit more separation between some more cars, which, if that's the case, then it's a double-edged sword. You'll see it single file out again because there's not enough cars to make a pack.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's go to Ed Hinton, and then
Not sure how confusing I just made that all, but I probably did a pretty good job.
We'll go to Ed Hinton and then to David Newton. Go ahead, Ed.
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com. Kyle, Montoya and Biffle especially were saying from the first race, and we saw it Saturday night too, that this car Biffle pointed out you pull up behind somebody, their bumper, and it just stalls. It just stops, and it actually almost wants to recoil. We saw with your own teammate, Kenza, Saturday night. He'd run up alongside the leader, and it seemed like the car would just stop. Can that be overcome? Is this going to be an issue that needs to be sorted out with this car, especially at plate tracks?
Well, I think what's going on with that is just, we saw a little bit of that in the first race. There were some guys that were 3 wide, and you can kind of see the middle lane really, really go, and then it would really stall out all at once, and then it kind of suck them back. Basically, what it is it's just the air off the windshield that's dumping on the rear spoiler. I mean, the cars in the side draft get hurt so much more than what they used to. I think it's because our windshield angles now are, if you look at the car from the top view, like over the roof on the windshield, it's flat. The windshield's kind of flatter, where the old car had a bow to it and was rounder, so the air was able to round the car before it actually dumped on your neighbor's car. This car, it just shoots it right onto your neighbor's car. That's my opinion anyway. I could not be an aero genius, but maybe I am. And, so I think some of that has to do with it, and if you want to get rid of that, take the rear spoiler off it. But then I think all of us drivers will be crying quite heavily to the NASCAR hauler to give us some spoiler back.
When you won the first COT race, you got out of the car and were very candid about how the thing behaved. Although the issues are different with this car, can you honestly say that this car does not have as many teething pains and issues to resolve at this stage as the COT did at that time?
Well, we're at a restrictor plate track where a lot of different circumstances come into play than at a Bristol or a Loudon or a California or anywhere else that besides a restrictor plate track. So I'm also 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 7 years older. So I'm a little bit wiser in choosing my words as well. And so far I think things are good. This car, it's fun to drive. We've gone to the 1.5 mile stuff. It's been pretty cool to drive there. We've got a lot of speed out of it because they put a lot of downforce in it. But we'll just have to see how it races. I mean, there's still a lot of unknowns. We're still in week 1.5, and it'll be week 2 come Sunday.
Go to David and then Lewis. David.
Yeah, this is for Kyle and Dave. And Kyle, you mentioned at the beginning how it's good for team chemistry and getting off the good momentum. There was a lot of heat on Dave, I guess, last year when you guys didn't make the chase for the pit strategy at Richmond. Today you make the right call and get you guys in the victory lane. Does this kind of help that? And does it show that you guys do belong together, and why?
I think it's one thing called racing. I mean, I'll spell it SHT happens, it's just a product of what you get sometimes with, with this sport. And, last year we had a lot of things that were out of my control and were out of Dave's control. And it came down to Richmond, and it came down to a call where, we messed up on and we missed a chase. But, Dave and I, we looked at each other the following week and we said, we got to punch forward and move forward. And we ran the best 10 weeks that we had all year in the final last 10 weeks of the series. So, you're going to have good days like this, and this is obviously one of those moments where you pat the guy on the back, you say, good job, now you got to do it again. So, it's just a matter of being able to continue on and work hard and believe in each other and keep putting the trophies at Joe Gibbs Racing. Right.
Go to Lewis and over here to Mike Embry. Go ahead, Lewis.
Yes, Lewis Frank of Auto Week here. Besides stalling, the drivers who came in here earlier talked about staying in line. And is it merely a matter of more cars on the track going to make a difference on Sunday? Or how do you get out of line and move ahead without a couple of partners?
It's a good question, Lewis, and it's hard to answer right now without being able to get more cars out there. We did have, 18, 19 cars at the start of the Unlimited. We wrecked a few, and then it was only about a 12, 15-car race. And then today, you start out with 20, 21, 22, whatever it is in each race. And what you saw, though, was some good cars kind of single-filed out and separated themselves from another pack, and you saw some separation going on. So with more cars, you'll see a bigger, like I said earlier, you'll see a bigger good pack. You'll see a bigger middle pack. But once the handling starts coming into play and you start seeing some separation, I don't know how big that pack's going to be. If it's going to be 6 or 8 cars, that's still going to be a problem for us to be able to run side by side and be able to race each other. But if it's going to be a pack of 16, 18, then it might work.
Let's go over here to Mike, then to Stan.
Mike Hembry, Speed.com. Kyle, we've had a couple of instances with this car where drivers who were close side by side, one of the cars has gotten out of shape. Do you think that's a problem with the individual cars or drivers, or is it something about this particular car design that's helping to cause that?
It's about the car. There's something weird going on with the aero stuff of the car, and sometimes, you can be fighting a little bit of a snug issue or a tight issue through the corner, and then all of a sudden the back kind of jumps out, and then the whole car's out of the racetrack. So, it's once you break traction in either tire, it seems like it's really hard to get that back. The car takes off on you. So I think we saw that a little bit with the 11. He was kind of in the no man's land perfect situation of where you don't want to be, which is behind somebody and having a guy on your inside kind of at your left rear. We saw that with Newman and Carl in practice, So I think those are some of the things that that you see with this car so far, is just the unsecurity or the stability issues sometimes in traffic. And that might be why we all just run single files, because we're scared to run side by side. I don't know, but I was ready to put on a show, but I didn't have enough people around me to make one happen.
Let's go to Stan and then Jenna.
Stan Creekmore with RPM tonight. Dave, we've heard everything, what Kyle thinks about what happened today. We haven't heard anything from your perspective, from everything you saw, both on the track, on your computers and everything. What did you see today, and how much of what you saw today do you think will have an effect on Sunday?
Yeah, I sit back here and listen, and to me it just sounds like NASCAR gave our fans what they wanted, right? They didn't want bump drafting. Our fans voted that they didn't want bump drafting. They didn't want two-car tandems. They want to make it hard to pass, and it looks like NASCAR's done a really great job of working with the manufacturers to provide cars that are like that. They look like they're tough to drive out there. It looks like the drivers have to have their timing just right. They got to be really aware of the cars around them and very precise. I think that's the word Kevin Harvick used, and that's what it looks like from the pit box. These drivers just have to be extremely precise behind the wheel in order to make passes, and I think that's what the fans want to see. I think they want to see some good racing and watch these very talented drivers work their butts off on Sunday. So I think they got what they wanted. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good day.
Let's go to Jenna.
Kyle, after the nationwide race at Homestead, you said that it was unquestionably the worst year of your entire career last year. I know this is just one 150-mile qualifying race, but you've opened it with a win. Your mood seems good and lighter, but I imagine your mood last year was correlated with the way your racing was. So how do you move forward, give yourself some momentum and not repeat last year?
It's a great question. I mean, we had, a great Budweiser shootout last year, Sprint Unlimited this year, in 2012, which we won. We were able to go to victory lane. It was a great night for us. We started out the year with a bang and everything, and had Miss Brown on the car and all that and everything else, and then it just kind of went downhill. So we had a good month of the end of April and May that we have some top fives, and ran really well, ran strong, thought things were going in the right direction, and then just had three problems right in a row right after that. So your mood's going to be related to how your racing's going. This is my life. This is what I do. I don't do anything else. This is my job. This is my livelihood, my wife's livelihood, and being able to put the food on the table for ourselves, but also for the rest of the employees at Joe Gibbs Racing. I mean, if we don't come out here, run well, run strong, and are competitive, then we're all going to be looking for something else to do.
Other questions? Over here, Jeff Hood in a red shirt, and then Pockrass.
Jeff Hood of RacingToday.com. One for Coach Gibbs and one for Kyle. Coach, Richard Childress knows that Harvick's leaving, but Harvick comes out and wins two races. From a car owner's perspective, what is that like? And for Kyle,
it's live.
I'll ask him after you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Coach.
No, I think what you got is great competitors. And I think they look at it that way. You don't want to certainly waste a year. You don't have that many where you get a chance to race cars at the top level. And so I think it's a competitive part of it. I think, and you just see guys that are great competitors go after it hard. And I think that's what's going on over there. They got a heck of a race team. They got everything that you need to be up front. And you got a very talented driver. And so I think it's just part of we see it quite often in this sport. So I think that's kind of a tribute to the guys and their competitive spirit.
And for Kyle, I know that you have an appreciation for grassroots level racing. What did you think of the last few laps of the 3 races on the backstretch earlier this week? And did you see the Mike Stefanik interview?
I did not see the Mike Stefanik interview. I didn't even hear about it or what he had to say, but this is another one of those moments where I've grown up 7 years and I'm not going to have anything to say about that race.
Yay!
I told 2 people, one of them works for NASCAR and one of them works for a race team, that was going to be a complete disaster, and I was right. So that's it.
Bob Pockris.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. We saw some guys who had pit road penalties have trouble kind of getting back up in the field. I mean, could that be? I mean, it's been a long time since if you lost the draft that you were going to have trouble catching it. Will that be an issue on Sunday, or will there be enough cars you think that if you do have a mistake, you'll be able to catch the draft without a caution?
No. If you make a mistake on pit road or coming to pit road or have an issue, whether you're speeding or whether you slide your tires and have to take 4 tires and the guys that you were coming with are only taking 2 tires or something that matter, you're going to have a problem keeping up and staying with the draft, definitely. So you've got to work on your pit road stuff.
Take this gentleman right here. Betsy.
Thank you. Kyle, Jorge Geklin, Fox Deportes. We're going to be broadcasting this in Spanish on Sunday. It's going to be the first time ever that a car race is going to be in Spanish for the Latino community in the U.S. As a Formula One race car driver in IndyCar, in the setting up of your car with a new aerial package and with that new camber change, much more in the back, do you feel you have to either change anything that you feel in the setup of the car, either for yourself or in the car, or in the way the tires warm up and behave?
Yeah, you definitely have to change. You got to change some of your driving technique, and just because the feel is different. So you've got to work on that feel, and that's some of the things that you tried to learn today throughout the dual race and the 150 miles that you had and the old tires that we had, was just feeling how much sliding around it's going to do. How tight do you need to start your car? How loose is it going to go throughout the run? And what all is going to happen, through those laps. And, I felt like our car was pretty good where, we worked on some of those things when we were down here during a test, and we had some good times where we were able to, I thought they were wrecking, where we were able to work on some things while we were drafting. And, I felt like we made some good changes, and those that are different than what our teammates are running, and seems to be working for us.
Take a question right here.
Donna Beth Wallenman from the Benicia Herald. This would be for any of you. Looking ahead to the season and the fact you've got a new car, how do you think this particular car is going to handle the shorter tracks, the road courses, some of the other tracks that you've got coming ahead for you?
What are you building there, crew chief?
That's a good question. I think the manufacturers and NASCAR did a good job of working together. And really what they've done is they've given us a little bit more front grip with the aerodynamics, and they've given us a little bit more mechanical grip with the rear camber. So I think for an initial stab, but it's hard to tell until we get to the racetrack. But our initial testing at Charlotte and even at the end of last season indicates that they did a pretty good job of balancing the car back out and gave us enough tools to get the car where we need it to race. I'm sure we'll learn a lot here in the first 4 to 5 weeks, but so far so good.
Okay, appreciate it, Kyle. Congratulations to Kyle Busch, Dave Rogers, and Coach Joe Gibbs.